I don't care what anybody said. That was an entertaining football game because it hinged on so many singular plays.
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
You go into Webster's dictionary these days and you look up the Big Ten West. Yes, I know that's 3 words, but it has become a word. It has become an idea of what the Big Ten West identity is. But when you look that up, this is that game that you look to. This is that Big Ten West type of football game. And this one was so entertaining for me because when these offenses continue to struggle and these defenses are playing the way they are and the Big Ten West style of football game presents itself, it's those singular plays that make the difference in the football game. And those plays in this Iowa and Northwestern matchup were on special teams. Special teams were special and determined the outcome of the football game. Of course, you got to start with the block punt. When that block punt happened, I'm like, of course it did, because that's how Iowa plays ball. Making the play on the special teams. There's a reason why people look at LeVar Woods as a potential successor to a guy like Kirk Ferentz. There is a reason why people look at Iowa special teams as one of the very best in college football. It's because they always make plays like this. That block punt was succeeded by a play that is typical Iowa football, right? Play action, roll out, hit a strangle the tight end in the flat for a touchdown. That is Iowa football in a nutshell. And that was so huge to make that special teams play to get up early. And I was thinking about halfway through this game, and then once we got into the second half, the first one that scores this game is going to put so much pressure on the other team that I think the first one that scores is going to win this game. But when you talk more about special teams, you also got to talk about that A.J. Henning punt return for Northwestern that put them in position to get that touchdown late when Brandon Sullivan was able to hit Cam Johnson in the back of the end zone. And of course, preceding that was that awesome goal line stand by the Iowa Hawkeyes so far in that one. That defense came up with big stops when they absolutely needed to. But in a game that was filled with big special teams plays that maybe swayed the outcome of this game, Tory Taylor had an average game. It was fine, but there were a few punts where maybe he didn't get all of it. Maybe he didn't get it killed within the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line, instead of trickled into the end zone. In a game that was determined by special teams, which wouldn't have been surprising, I think, leading up to this game. But I think a lot of people would have thought, yeah, Tory Taylor pins punts inside the 5, Tory Taylor flips the field. That didn't really happen in this game. It was other plays within special teams for both the Hawkeyes and the Wildcats that really made this thing go. I want to talk about that mid-fourth quarter drive for Northwestern where they were stood up at the goal line. At the time, I was thinking that was the drive for Northwestern. They needed to get in to the end zone. Now, at the time, it seemed like that was the case. But, of course, they got the football back. And Brendan Sullivan, man, was he gutsy. I'll get to that here in just a minute. But give credit to Northwestern that even though they weren't able to finish, they drew the punt, and they got a good return out of it. And then they were able to come forth and get a touchdown in the end. But let's talk about that goal line stand. Okay, how many more football games do we need to play in baseball stadiums to figure out this is a bad idea? These are 2 completely different surfaces that people are playing on. Football games should not be played in baseball stadiums and vice versa, even though I think that maybe used to happen in Oakland or something where they had in Miami where they had dual type of atmospheres and stadiums back in the day maybe. But let's just keep them separate. That huge hole, that huge divot, did that play a big part in this football game? Brendan Sullivan, that offensive line, were they not able to get their footing on that goal line stand? Now, in the end, it didn't really matter because the turnover on downs goes to Iowa, the punt, it all kind of, that whole sequence kind of blended together. But if Northwestern wasn't able to get the game-tying touchdown, maybe we'd be talking about a little bit of a different story in that one. But let's just keep them apart. Baseball over here, football over here. Pinstripe Bowl, The Fenway Bowl, figure something else out. Put the bowl game somewhere else. Like that, there's very few things that maybe outside of the game, X's and O's, that I am willing to die on that hill. This is a hill I'm willing to die on, is that let's just keep these games away. This game, let's play it at Ryan Field. Okay, you can say what you want about that, but let's just play them in our great Big Ten football stadiums. That's kind of where I'm at. Let's talk about Brendan Sullivan a little bit here for Northwestern. What a gutsy performance. I think for him to lead that team to eventually get that touchdown that tied this game up, because he was being knocked around. Iowa was hitting him. And when you looked at him in terms of his successful games, like against Maryland and some of these other games that he's had this season, it's been a scrambling ability, a quarterback run game that has kind of equated into good quarterback performances. Yes, he's thrown the football well, but the quarterback run game, the scramble, that kind of thing is as part of the success of Brendan Sullivan as maybe the pass game is. And when he got banged around, you could tell he was not himself in that QB run game. He didn't have the spark that he had in some of these other games. And give credit to the Iowa Hawkeyes for hitting him early and hitting him often. And there were a few runs, especially in that third quarter, into that fourth quarter, where you could tell maybe in the game against Maryland, maybe in some of these other games, he would have been able to get the first down. There were times when he slid, just like, I need to have myself for the entirety of this football game. So give credit to Brendan Sullivan being gutsy, sticking it out, being able to lead his team down for a touchdown. He did his job, but of course that was succeeded by Deacon Hill making the best throw of the season, maybe, finding Caleb Brown. Caleb Brown is a transfer from Ohio State. A lot of people were very excited about coming into this season. First catch of the year, and boy, was it a huge catch. And when you talk about special teams, Drew Stevens hitting a 52-yard field goal to send this one home for the Iowa Hawkeyes may have been the biggest special teams play so far of the season. So where do these teams go from here? Is Iowa the favorite in the Big Ten West? If this defense continues to play at this type of level, they can still win games 10-7. They can still win games 13-10. These are the type of games. Now that we don't have to worry about the drive for 325, these are the type of games that you are going to see from the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa's goal is let's hold our opponents to 10 points or less. If that's the case, we can beat a team like Rutgers that doesn't have a whole lot on the offensive side of the football. Maybe we can beat an Illinois team, even though they've been doing better on offense as of late. Maybe we can force them into some of those turnovers that the Illini had. And Nebraska, the schedule shapes up pretty well for Iowa the rest of the way for their defense to continue playing the way they were. Now, Iowa rushed for just over 100 yards in this game, and if the Hawkeyes want to take home the Big Ten West, if Iowa wants to find their way to Indianapolis, man, Jazz Patterson. I know LeSean Williams was the leading rusher in this game, but I said it earlier in this season, I think after the Iowa State game. Man, the way Jazz Patterson really hits the hole and runs hard, I would like to see him maybe get a little bit of a bigger role, but it's the run game. The run game is so huge. Northwestern was selling out in the run game. All of these defenses. Rutgers is going to do it, Illinois is going to do it, and Nebraska is going to do it. They're all going to sell out on the run game. How big of a presence is that going to have going forward? How successful can that team be with this offensive line right now? I think that's a big question. If the run game is at the very least solid and this defense continues playing the way they are, this is still a team that can win the Big Ten West, but Minnesota has the head-to-head tiebreaker. We're probably going to talk about that in future videos down the road. I want to hear what you guys think on all things Northwestern and Iowa. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Big Ten Ted. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.